Tucker Franklin, Sports Illustrated, Arrowhead Report, SI.com. It's been about a month and a half since we last talked, and we may have talked about Chris Jones here in the next couple of days or so, but that's not today's conversation anymore. Adam Schefter reporting Patrick Mahomes, 10-year deal, 10-year extension on top of the two, so really on a 12-year contract right now. That's tremendous, though, a 10-year extension in the NFL. There's only been very few like it, but first thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is baseball money is what we talked about earlier. This contract, I don't think one's happened since 2003, which shows you how unlikely this is to happen in the NFL. It's good for Chiefs fans that Patrick Mahomes not going anywhere. We knew this was going to happen. It was kind of looming large above everything that this Mahomes deal was going to happen. There was going to be big money. It was going to be big years, and now it finally happens.
Just the timing of this one, too. I know it's been talk. Was it going to happen this offseason? Was it going to happen next offseason? People have kind of quit talking about this in the last couple of weeks because Mahomes was asked about it in May. He said he wanted to be a Chief long-term. He was saying all the right things you're supposed to say.
Right.
And it turned to Chris Jones because Chris Jones had kind of said last week that, hey, I may not play this year on the franchise tag. I won't pay. Now this comes out. The timing seems good for Mahomes and company, but I'm not for sure what that says about anything else yet.
Yeah, I think this has been a really big in the whole Jones scheme of things is this Mahomes contract deal. If you look at it, it is odd timing, especially if you're Chris Jones. You're kind of probably a little bit upset. Mahomes still has 2 years left on his deal. He's already getting a 10-year extension, and Jones has the franchise tag on him. He has been training with Le'Veon Bell, and that might play into his decision a little bit to hold out. I did notice that a little bit, and he even tweeted that. He said, hey, I learned from Le'Veon Bell, hold out, and then you'll get your money because he's playing with the Jets right now, and he got his money that way. So Chris Jones, if you're Chris Jones, you're not feeling too happy about it because, at the beginning when they put the tag on him, the Chiefs and Chris Jones's camp were very motivated to get a deal done. They haven't really talked a whole lot. I think it is because of this Mahomes deal, and it's going to put a very cloudy future for Chris Jones in Kansas City.
So let's look at what this Mahomes deal actually does. I mean, Schefter's tweeting out, everybody wants that number. What's this number going to be? And Schefter's tweeting reports. He doesn't have a value figure yet. He hasn't had anyway. It looks like a percentage of the cap, which to me, I think is tremendous if you're the Chiefs fans, Mahomes, because what that means is depending on what percentage he gets, if the cap goes over $200 million, he gets 20% of the cap. You guys can do the math, 10%, 15%, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, saves Chiefs money in a way. I don't think by any means is this a bargain by a stretch, but I think it's the best case scenario. You do this by giving him a percentage of the cap.
Of course, this is Pat Mahomes' hometown discount is what this is. He's worth all this money, and we know from the very beginning that Patrick Mahomes is going to set records with his contract in years and numbers. I've seen league sources say it's over $400 million already. That's without, adding in the whole percentage of the cap situation. So it's a very big contract, and like I said earlier, this is baseball money. You don't see a lot of teams, a lot of players in the NFL, especially in a salary cap sport like the NFL, get this big of a contract. I think the last one to happen to get a $400+ million contract was Bryce Harper. No, it was Mike Trout. Mike Trout got the $450 million contract, I believe, and he got that large deal. And we're approaching on some large contract numbers.
You look at the contract numbers, and this offseason was what Dak Prescott was going to do, and what was he going to get? Was that going to affect Mahomes? I mean, Deshaun Watson, all this sitting out there. You feel like the Chiefs can breathe easy now because Mahomes wasn't going anywhere anyway, but just having this figured out, just how much leverage does this give the Chiefs moving forward when they want to make other deals with other guys, keeping them in Kansas City, whoever it is, or bringing in new guys too?
I think this is really big. If you look at the Travis Kelce deal that's looming large too, with George Kittle wanting numbers that aren't even tight end numbers that are probably just like league-setting numbers, it's important for the Chiefs to get out in front of the Travis Kelce deal and to sign him out to a long-term extension before George Kittle gets it. And the Chiefs did the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. They were able to get out in front of it, set the contract standard. And we all knew Patrick Mahomes was going to set the standard for all quarterback contracts. So now Mahomes gets that contract. He sets the standard. And now all these quarterbacks now, like they already do it on the field, have to try to get to Mahomes' level.
It's going to be talked about every time a quarterback gets on a new deal. The teams tend not to perform as well just because you're putting so much money in the quarterback. But we've seen Mahomes is already a different cat when it comes to what he can do on the field. you still feel confident the Chiefs can continue? I mean, this year, obviously, I think they're still either the favorite or right there as number
Right.
two. I don't think there's anybody above them, really. But long term, I don't see this as big of a, oh, no, they just signed a quarterback to the long term. It's they have Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City till after 2031 now.
Yeah, you did mention he's a different cat. I think one of the long-term contracts I saw was Dante Culpepper was in 2003. Brett Favre was another one of those 10-plus year extensions. Both of those guys, Culpepper, I don't believe has a Super Bowl ring. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Brett Favre only has one. Uh, the thing is, Pat Mahomes already has the Super Bowl ring. He already shows that he can play on the field. Now, it is interesting that they won't have this money going forward for tools for Mahomes. And that's where the whole backloading, front-loading, whole manipulating the whole cap space that is honestly way over my pay grade. I don't understand it, but teams seem to be able to manipulate this cap in however way they want. As long as they give Mahomes his money and make sure that he's happy, I think they're going to be able to put players on the field with him that'll want to play with him and be successful.
And you talk about manipulating the cap. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We all kind of look at the cap and say, oh, no, it's set in stone. But you know those teams kind of know how to wiggle money there, throw money out there. Before I let you go, what's next for the Chiefs at this point? I mean, you have the quarterback, the cornerstone of the franchise, the most excitement around the Chiefs team maybe ever at this point. I mean, other generations are going to argue the Lynn Dawson era. I mean, maybe it's past Montana in the early 90s, but I mean, this is the most excited I think Chiefs fans may ever be because they have the franchise. They have the player of the NFL. What's next for this Chiefs team this offseason heading into potentially, hopefully, a full 2020 season?
Yeah, the whole full 2020 season is still kind of up in the air. It's a little iffy, but I think the big thing for them right now is re-signing Chris Jones. We need to talk about Chris Jones because he deserves his money. It seems like he's kind of getting treated as the middle child here in this situation. As you know, Travis Kelce's going to need a contract. Tyreek Hill's going to need a contract coming up here pretty soon too. So his kind of needs have fallen to the wayside, especially when Frank Clark got traded to Kansas City and he got that long-term deal. It almost seemed like it sealed Chris Jones' fate in Kansas City. But another one of those needs, like I mentioned earlier, is the Travis Kelce deal. George Kittle is going to be making a whole lot of money. He's a great tight end. Travis Kelce is going to want the same thing or more than that because Travis Kelce can make an argument for being better than George Kittle. And I'm sure a lot of fans in Kansas City will agree that he is better than George Kittle. So Travis Kelce is going to want that money, and the Chiefs are going to need to get out ahead of that to make sure they set the bar. And so Travis Kelce's happy before George Kittle demands the whole bank.
So do you think there's a chance that Chris Jones is moved before the July 15th deadline at this point, or do you think he's in Kansas City? And two, does he play under the franchise tag? Or three, do they get that deal done?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't think they move him because the best time for him to get moved would have been before the draft. These picks now are just so up in the air. You don't really know anything about these draft picks you're going to get in return for him. His value was at an all-time high before the draft. Now, could they still move him? Of course. I've been surprised by the Chiefs making moves before, including Marcus Peters. That was a surprising move. But I could see them moving Chris Jones. Do I think they get a deal done? I don't think it's very likely. I would like for them to get a deal done, but it just doesn't sound like both sides are very happy with the talks that are going on right now. And I really don't think Chris Jones will play. I think Chris Jones is going to sit out for as long as he can. But, you know, if he signs that franchise tag, he's going to be making, I believe, $10 million more than he was last season. So, you know, it's almost a catch-22 for Chris Jones. You know, you're going to make more money and you get to play. But, like, the next year in 2021, you know, he's going to be in the same situation. And I don't believe Chris Jones will be in Kansas City past 2021.
Tucker Franklin, Sports Illustrated, Arrowhead Report. Good stuff is always up there on the website. You can follow Tucker. Tucker, what's your Twitter handle for everybody?
At Tucker D. Franklin.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on again, man.
Thanks, Chris.